allowed to have alcohol in
No,
here?
I mean, technically they don't want us to, but we don't care.
Okay,
You're fine, you're fine.
But you
You're
don't want me
totally fine.
going out to the store to buy a bottle of wine for each table.
No, we don't want to. No, no, no. There's enough beer floating around.
Okay.
Like, if we bought a bottle for every table, we could be busted. If people are like doing their own thing, then we can claim like we didn't. We already have a bottle for each table.
But do we have a corkscrew?
I don't with me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we're good. It's yeah, we're good. Thank you for asking though.
And two channels come out, go to the camera.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Did the audio survive the changeover? Okay. Can't see. Amiga! Okay. Okay. We are ready to start the banquet. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Wow. 25 years. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming, obviously. We have our sponsors represented up here. We've got Doug representing Retro Rewind. We've got Steve representing Trevor. We've got Jerry representing the immense amount of hard work it takes to actually do this. Believe it or not, even at this scale, it's still a ridiculous amount of work. We have Mr. Jenison joining us, our featured speaker. Thank you. I'll be sitting there too. Perfect. We actually are not completely full. There's like 2 extra chairs because we were getting that we were going to have that particular problem, but we don't. So it's fantastic. Are there any folks that are vegetarian specifically? What I'd like to ask the vegetarians to please make your way to the buffet line and to get us kicked off here. You can go right now. Just get up and go. It's okay. You can still hear me. We want to do that because we have limited quantities of vegetarian. So we'll let them go ahead and get started. Then what I will do is we'll release the head table, and then I'll come by and we'll kind of get through this. And then after the meal, we'll begin the formal presentation with the awards, Sacramento awards, and memorials. And then we'll launch into our featured presentation. And then once Tim is done, we will magically instantiate many bottles of clear-colored liquids and have a wonderful evening until enough people fall and pass that we have to stop. So that's the plan. Our vegetarians have started. Yes, sir?
Beautiful plan.
Beautiful plan. Tim, would you lead us off at the head table? Let's go ahead and grab our food because we have to eat and talk. And then we'll give it a minute and then I'll start letting some other tables go through once the line dies down. Sure, that's what people are doing.
Hey guys. Saying hi to my family at home. Thanks, honey. Be good tonight, boys.
Okay. In the interest of time, and I know people are still kind of chewing, but it looks like we'll be mostly done chewing soon. We are going to launch into our next phase. So this is the there's still some chalking, so I'll let it. Hey, hello, AmiWest. Woo! Okay, now we're paying attention. As I said, I'm not Brian Deneen. Usually Brian does a wonderful job at the banquets and doing the presentations. We definitely miss him. We are going to send him a run through the banquet meal, so he'll get that tomorrow in the morning. Thanks to Chris for doing that. That's what we got. We got chicken. And I'm sure there's some rice in there and all sorts of good stuff. Because we eat all those here. But so we miss Brian. In all candor and honesty, getting to the point of launching the show about as far as we got planning-wise. So a little rough from here on out. But I just, since I have the floor, and I like to talk, if anyone doesn't know that, right? I do truly want to thank everybody. Jerry and I have been meeting every Tuesday for the last 5 months, roughly, to work through what do we need to do and to get us to this point. It is an immense amount of work. Thank you. Thank you. Really, Jerry. But it's funny because we do a bunch of things, and I think we get to certain points where if we didn't know everybody, if we didn't have the family attitude that we have here, we'd actually have to do a lot more planning, because there's a whole bunch of like little gray spots where we're like, you know what, people are going to help us. Like things will just happen. Like if we have a vision, and it happened today, you know, or last night we do the setup. Alan and Fred, you guys are great, helping me get this stuff going. Fred's just kind of standing around, and I'm like, Fred, do this. He gets it done. But it's all of that. It was like the internet today. I don't know if Zach is here, but Zach is talking to Alex, and I bust over, like the internet's gone again, and we turned out that the hotel shut our port down because we're using too much of it. And Zach is like, well, what's the problem? We're like, look, we cannot explain to you the problem. We just don't have that kind of time, because it was 5 hours of Alex Perez's work trying to get the internet figured out and some bizarre lucky happenstance until it failed. Anyway, Zach's like, I have an industrial hotspot in my car that I bought from my warehouse with an Ethernet port and a T-Mobile account. You want that? We're like, yeah, go get it. Just randomly, like, who has that? I've never even seen one with an Ethernet port. Like, fantastic. That's the spirit of it, and it goes beyond just the AmiWest, obviously. It's the spirit of the Amiga community. You know, we're here for a particular reason, to honor this sign. It's fantastic, but it's about what it is. And, you know, I was thinking about this, and it might get a little sappy, and I think I'm cutting out a little bit. Probably the batteries are dying. I was thinking about this, and we're all here for our own reasons. We have our own thing, and what's fascinating about our community and where we are today in terms of the Amiga side, let me know if this cuts out a few more times. I'll run over with some more batteries in. But we're all here for our own reasons, but we're also here for a shared reason. And it gets really weird because the shared reason is not consistent. We kind of know it's about this, but why? It gets really weird. But we know it's about this. And it's indescribable. I was talking to Tim earlier, and I've been thinking about this problem, as have a lot of us. We used to get in debates, you know, is the Amiga better than the Atari? Is it better than the Macintosh? Like, all this stuff we do. And we're like, oh, we get into the technology. We got the custom chips. And, you know, this is the best architecture, right? And by the way, it won. If you look at any modern computer, it uses the Amiga architecture. because it's the better way to do things. But as you get into these arguments and you start looking at it, the way I've been thinking about it is like, why is this what it is? Why do we have WHD load? Why are we here? Why do I have multiple next generation efforts? Multiples. We have the EMU 64. You can put 3 different Raspberry Pis on an Amiga 500 doing 3 different offloads, and I'm sure there's more coming. It's absolutely ridiculous. Why would you do that? Why would you put 3 other computers inside another computer and have it do one thing? Like, Denise, I need a new display. Why? And what I got to think about is like, if you think about the 1 + 1 = 2 equation, right? I've got young kids. You work on that. It goes pretty quick. It's not that hard. But if you think about that, there's something, and the other thing about the Amiga is like hardware versus software, right? There's something about the Amiga where that equation does not work. It's not 1 + 1 = computer. It's not a Mac classic. No dig on the Mac guys, but like, it's not that. It's not the Coleco or name any other system, Intellivision, which were at the time very interesting systems, but they didn't ignite something inside users that's intangible, indescribable, and frightening. I mean, this is kind of frightening, I have to say. So as I think about the Amiga, it's like, okay, if I look at the different systems, you know, who's a 1 + 1 = 1.3? Like complete failures. They're out there. I'm sure you guys know better than me what those would be. And then there's been a couple systems that have more legs, a little bit more interesting, but nothing is like this. Nothing has driven so many people to spend so many hours in 2022 to do something that makes absolutely no sense, is completely irrational. And one tip, if you find yourself in a discussion with someone and you talk about your Amiga systems and what you do with them, and they kind of look at you funny, oh, it's like classic cars. You know, people have like nice classic cars. It's kind of like that. And then you can like step out of the station without getting too freaky. So just a tip for everyone. So, you know, as I think about what we do to get the show going, all the people that jump in and help out, I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's why we do this. It's just insane. So again, thanks everyone for coming. Appreciate it. All the people that jump in, help out, make this happen. There's not 2,000 people here like we had last weekend at the Amiga 37, which is also amazing, but America's a little bigger. Can't get all the Amigans in one place because they just can't freaking get here. 5 hours gets you not even to LA. You can't, anyway, it's a different world. So the people here are super hardcore. We know you're away from your families. You're taking time off to be here. We have our exhibitors, and I think we had like originally like 20 tables, 19 tables, and then we get here and they're all full. People are just like, I got stuff I want to show. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. So that was my spiel. What I'm going to do now is run over there and press a button, and I'm going to run back over here. And we're going to do the award section, and we're going to start with Jerry. Actually, why don't you come up here, Jerry, and then I'll run over and do what I got to do when you're up here.
All right.
Thank you.
Is this thing on? No. All right. Oh, you gotta turn me on. All right. For adult audiences.
Yeah. Oh, and you'll notice there's 2 screens. Like the last time we needed 2 screens in an AmiWest was like 2002. I mean, it's freaking amazing. Thank you.
You should be good. Press the. Are you free, Jerry?
Yes.
Yeah, you're on. You're good.
I'm on?
Yep.
I'm good? All right, thank you. Let me put this away. So before I get into my part, I just want to put out another thanks to Bill. He not only has been, you know, organizing this, but he's been streaming this since before streaming was popular. And if you go look at the last few years' streams, they're still up on YouTube, and you can see that they're getting 3,000, 4,000 hits worldwide. So we may not be quite as big as Amiga 37, but we've definitely got a worldwide reach thanks to the efforts of our AmiWest broadcast. So thanks for that. I'm kicking this off. It's been a bit of a rough year for the community and for the club. We've lost a couple of dear friends and family. You've all probably seen we have the Chris Brenner stuff for sale over on the sales table. He was a great guy. I only had the privilege of meeting him a handful of times. But if you never meet him, you could see his genius. Because every time I met him, he had something in his hand that he had engineered that was neat, clever, sophisticated. Very first time I saw him, he said, "Check this out." He's like, "This billboard is an Atari 2600." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, can't you just do that with that Mister? What happened?" No. Mine takes cartridges. And he pulled out a cartridge and he slammed it in there, and it was, the ironic thing, it was one of those multi-carts, those special ones where you can put an SD card in it that has all the games on it. Anyways.
Sorry, Jerry.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Can I have your microphone thing real quick?
Oh,
I'm gonna talk
sure,
louder.
sure. Oh, I need power.
We need
You
power.
want me to talk louder?
Yeah, you can just shout.
Little Energizer Bunny in there. All right. Thank you. So Chris also did things like disk mimic for the 1.3 systems. I was trying desperately to get him here last year, but I just could not get a hold of him. So anyways, we will miss Chris and his contributions to the community. A little bit closer to home, we also lost Bill Clay this year. We also have some of his items on the table over there that he's donated to the club to pass on in his behalf. So please take a look at that. Honor Bill by giving new life to some of his old gear and let that live on. Sorry. I didn't think I'd get choked up over this. Let me get my glasses on here. So I wrote some stuff down just in case. So Bill Clay was a longtime Amigan, a member of Sacramento Amiga Computer Club, aka the Old Geezers Club. His presence will be sorely missed. At this memorial, we attempt to put into writing some of the impacts and contributions Bill made to the club and the annual AmiWest show. Bill was our SACC webmaster for many, many years, making the updates there, making the agenda updates for the club meetings and that kind of stuff. He was the AmiWest electrician. When I first came into the club, my first AmiWest, my job was to be Bill's helper in learning how to run the power and the network for the show. Obviously, without power, there is no show. Refreshments. At the show, Bill would always bring a little goodie bag with some cookies. Also, I've heard some of you mention, he also brought whiskey.
I'll drink to that.
I don't know if you've noticed or not, but when I was going through the electrical supplies this year, he had a couple of bags. He had like some power strips in and what have you, and I was pulling it out, going, "I need to get this in a container so we can store this a little bit better." And I get to the bottom of the power strips, and there's a plastic bag of these little shot glasses in there that he would bring to the show. So I took that bag, and I have a good friend at the office who does a lot of craft work. So she put Bill's electrical in that bag, and it's over there today. It's got some scotch in there, so please go have a drink with Bill. He would love it. He was always generous with his time and his expertise, helping club members. He helped me to get into several machines. He came to a club meeting one time and he said, "Would you like an Amiga 1000?" I said, "Well, I've already got an Amiga 1000." He's like, "Well, actually, this is 2 Amiga 500s. You've got to take them both. They make a 1000." So if you've seen my yellow and black striped Amiga on the corner, Games Corner, that is my Amiga that Bill gave me, that I've dressed up a little bit, and that's been our gaming machine for the past 4 years here at the show. Bill was very friendly. To know Bill, was to have a friend immediately. He would just welcome you in, a very kind soul, easy to talk to, fun to have around. Bill will be missed. At this point in time, if anyone has anything they would like to add or say about Bill, I'd invite you to come up and say a few words.
Talk. Let me talk. Yeah, I do. I can talk without putting it on. I met Bill because of SACC. This is one of the amazing things that Bill Bashari was talking about, is what this group does. The group basically for me was a really important thing to play with amigos, but even more importantly was to be sociable. I called, when I moved to Sacramento, I found a magazine with a SACC ad in the back. I called the person, his name was John Zacharias. He invited me to his house for the meeting that month. Who did I meet there? Chris Brenner, and of course Bill Clay, and a couple other people who were important. And John became an important part of SACC, and I connected with him and Bill, but it continued. Bill and I became great friends over the years, and he was always generous and always helpful. And in fact, at the table I'm working on is Bill's 5,000, which he basically, his family graciously gave to me, and I'm honored to use it to develop and help beta test for the Amiga NG, which is still going on through people like Bill, who he talked me into buying it so that I would be a beta tester. Bill was a really important part, very quiet person, but a really important part of the club. And the reason the club does so well is people like you guys and him.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Michael. Anyone else have any words to say? Going once? Twice? All right. So I would like to, we do have Bill's daughter with us today, Alana. So I would like to present this to you. And thank you for your dad's service to the club. Thank you.
He loved this club so much, and he would talk about it, and it was always like a child going to Disneyland, listening to him talk about how much he loved being here and how much he loved being with all of you, and his friendships were so priceless to him, and I just thank you all for contributing to such an important part of his life. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'll turn it back over to Bill now.
Okay, new batteries. Hopefully it cuts out less. Let's see, my little magic box here. Well, this is funny, and we kind of did this on purpose. Okay. The club has two other awards that it gives. There's the John Zacharias Award. John is consummate technologist. He was a software developer. He wrote an email program for the Amiga back in the days when that was difficult and very important. So John started the club. He went to the various shows, the other shows. He really drove AmiWest, as Michael was talking about. And he passed away in, I think, 2006 or 7. His daughter would come with him as well. Wonderful man. So the John Zacharias Award for Outstanding Technical Assistance to the Sacramento Amiga Computer Club for 2022 is presented to an enthusiastic practitioner of the 3D arts. A longtime Amiga fan and a user from way back. He's given his time and resources to help the SACC storage area, formerly known as the Abyss. That's a lot of work. Successfully helping to preserve 3D software and manuals, compiling a collection, and makes that available to club members and to folks who attend AmiWest. If you don't have this yet, I'll tell you how you can get it. It is ridiculously good. He's enthusiastic about the future of the club and sharing his knowledge and the items that bring him interest. He has shared demos of software and has developed and dealt to assist with animation. And he shares animations he has created and explains the details how they work. The John Zacharias Award for 2022 for outstanding technical assistance to the Sacramento Computer Club of Innovation and Amiga Preservation, AmiWest Concepts and SACC participation is presented to David Combs. David is not here. Not here. And when your daughter is getting married, you get a pass. So this is one pass. He's allowed. If you have not gotten the USB stick, if you've not seen this, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Is George around? Where's George? Are there still some left? Do you know? Okay. He has spent a ridiculous amount of time gathering Amiga 3D software. Some of it might be a little legal question. You're not allowed to have a copy. The software, the available plugins and modules, and all of their manuals, and went through and created PDFs of the manuals and icons of the manuals of the front of the manual. It's ridiculously well manicured. I think you mentioned Vista Pro. I think it's on there. All this stuff. So if you are interested in anything to do with Amiga 3D or preservation or any of it, you definitely want to pick one of these up. It's just a fantastic effort he's put together. So we thank David for that. He would be here. He absolutely would, except for he did have a joyous occasion to attend. The next award that we have is the Dan Klausko Award. Dan was also a stellar member of the Sacramento show. How many people went to the Amiga 30th in Mountain View, California? That show would have been a shadow of what it was without Dan. Dan would sleep in in Dale's, you're standing for it, in Dale's RV. He would literally sleep in it. I would bring him a coffee and a burrito for breakfast. The amount of work that he put into prepping those systems, bringing them out of the Abyss, which was a house that he had owned that was literally full of Amiga stuff. I can't even describe what he did for that show. So personally, I'm very happy to be able to actually deliver this, because this is usually Brian's job. Because Dan, he was insane. I mean, he's just an amazing person and helped so much with that effort without even being asked. Anybody want to volunteer? He stepped up. He brought machines. He brought monitors. He cleaned them. We figured out Retro Bright, and we were experimenting with Retro Bright in Dale's yard to get the yellow out of the cases and the whole thing. It was amazing. The person who's going to win this award is a relative newcomer to the Amiga computer and the Amiga community. He started his journey on NG hardware with Amiga OS 4. He's a dedicated Amiga OS 4 beta tester. He has spent countless hours educating and supporting Amiga users and Amiga websites. He is a consistent supporter of AmiWest, his attendance, and as a Banquet speaker in the past. And he has been a remote member of the Sacramento Amiga Computer Club for many, many years. The Dan Klausko Award for 2022 for outstanding service to the Sacramento Amiga Computer Club and AmiWest goes to LD Stevens, who is here but not here. He's in the building, but he's not at the banquet yet. So he will show up a little bit later for religious reasons, which is also valid, of course. So we will present this to him when he gets here, and he doesn't know unless he's watching the stream, I guess. But so those are the two club awards. Can you open your laptop, Tim? And I will. Oh, that was weird. I don't know how that happened. Let's get to our front page. Thank you. I'm going to do a little technical work here so that when Tim is ready, we can jump in. Whoa, what's going on there? It's weird. So I have another wondrous honor, and I was planning on doing this as a total surprise, and it's going to be a total surprise, with the expectation that Mr. Bryan would be here, but he's not here. But I'll do it as if he were here. We have decided, the steering committee for this year's AmiWest, to create a new award, the AmiWest Lifetime Achievement Award. Obviously, this is for Brian Deneen, so we know that part's over. If you were looking for suspense, you're not going to find it there. We thought about how we could honor Brian for his contribution. After John passed away, this very easily could have hit the floor and not gotten up, because it takes so much energy and so much effort. And Brian stepped in and helped keep it going and became the SACC president to keep it going, keep the Boeing ball moving just keep it moving, going. And he used to do this, I don't know, because I haven't ever asked him, going back in that 2007 era, how many people were actually helping him do all these things? Like, who was his steering committee back there? Chuck was with us. So Chuck did a lot of it too. But Brian was the engine that kept this going. And I wish he was here, because then we could say a lot more things. We could, like, embarrass him. He would turn pink and it'd be funny. Unfortunately, he's home, recovering, and hopefully he'll recover soon and be strong and then help us plan AmiWest 2023. Brian is an avid Amiga fan, using his Amiga to writing paperbacks in the day, to using his X5000 as his daily driver, managed the show details for many years, secured the contract for the meeting space, negotiating lower rates, arranging the catering. A strong supporter of Carl Sassenroth's Rebel technology. He comes to the show, he promotes the Rebel technologies. Served as president of the Sacramento Club for many years. We probably could have put a number in there, but we can't remember like how many it's been, because he's done it for so long. Many years. Shares his knowledge of the Amigas, AmiWest, at the SACC meeting. Has been the voice of AmiWest, the presentations, and a strong advocate of preservation. As most people in the room, will probably run into, you get into the conversation of, oh, I have a Amiga 3000 UX. Oh, I've got the 2000 UX. Oh, but I've got, a couple 500s in a box. Oh, I've got 6 500s. Brian has an extensive collection. We play that game all the time of, like, what do you got? What do I got? But he's been a strong advocate for the preservation of all things Amiga, huge supporter of the Amiga 30th as well, and special interest in the hardware. So we're going to present the Lifetime Achievement Award to Brian. Chris is going to take that along with the chicken tomorrow. And I wanted to honor Brian in a unique way, something that we've never done before. And so I'm going to show you guys this. And I don't know if he's on the stream, if he's going to see this for the first time tomorrow, or whether he's going to scope this tonight. But I had a barbecue, and Brian came by with his wife, and I said, what does he like? Tie pins, what kind of things? And it turns out that he likes watches. So through the power of the internet, you can go online, and I've not actually seen how this turned out. I've not seen this yet. Thanks to my little helpers for pulling this off. And you can actually design your own custom watch face, and you can make your own custom watches. So I had made for Brian a custom watch that says celebrating 25 years of AmiWest on the watch face. So this will be going to Brian's house tomorrow. He probably has no idea. He's probably zonked out and not even watching. So we'll have this here if you guys want to take a look at it. I just can't say enough to thank him for enabling me personally in my Amiga habits through the show, and all of us here. When we learned that he was sick, Jerry and I were like, we're stepping up, we're doing it. It's not going to hit the ground. So we'll have this later. You can come check this sucker out. It looks pretty cool. And this will be going to Brian tomorrow. Okay? So our next speaker is someone you may know. His name is Tim, and Tim, I'll fix that. I can tell when the reverberation is about to start, so I'm like, ooh, gotta fix it. Tim is here. As always, every year, we start our AmiWest planning to figure out who's gonna come, who can we get to do banquet presentations. I will take full responsibility for the banquet that ran till like 10:30 because we did the trivia thing. That didn't work so well. And the banquet we did with Salam, nice guy, but I didn't realize at the time that he had decided that collecting retro computers would be better for scrap than for preservation. I swear to God, he preserved them before. Great guy, started VCF or was an early supporter of VCF, but that was a very strange banquet. But this time I think I have a winner as a presenter. So when Tim said that he was interested, or sorry, when I emailed Tim to say, are you interested, and he wrote back and said, yes, I'll do it, I fell out of my chair and immediately called these guys like, oh my God. Yeah, I did. Web traffic has been through the roof. The banquet response has been amazing. Everyone here knows who Mr. Tim Jenison is, created the video toaster and new tech. And hopefully we'll learn a bit about how that happened and whatever that he wants to talk to us about. Preston, yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. I'll make you home.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for inviting me. And Bill asked me to talk about basically where did the video toaster